And So, Notes on the Bible and Religion. Episode 51, Party Time. A friend of mine had a birthday recently, and that got me thinking about celebrations in the Bible. Weekly, there is the Sabbath celebration, the day of rest traditionally observed on Saturday, Genesis 2:2, Leviticus 23:3. Most Christians celebrate the Sabbath on Sunday. It is a designated day of rest from work, yet it has also become a day for recreation and leisure pursuits. We can thank King James I of England for some of this increased entertainment. He published a Book of Sports in 1618 to the consternation of some of the more conservative elements in English society at the time. Suddenly permissible on the Sabbath, if you went to church that morning, were such activities as archery practice, dancing, carrying loads for religious decorative purposes, and parish ales, that is, beer shindigs for church fundraising. Unacceptable were blood sports, such as bull baiting, where impeded bulls were set upon by dogs, thus the original British bulldog. Curiously, bowling was forbidden on the Sabbath. This last point might bring a special chuckle if you've seen The Big Lebowski from 1998, in which a character refuses to bowl so that he might keep the Sabbath. In addition to the Sabbath, Leviticus 23 mentions 6 other feast days or days of observance: Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Pentecost, trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles. Many of these are agricultural feasts, and only a few are given regular consideration in the Christian tradition. But there are other celebrations mentioned in the Bible. Notably, there is the wedding of Cana, John 2:1-11. Here, Jesus transforms water into wine when the party was nearly drying up. And here's a fun fact. One of the earliest, if not the earliest, recorded birthday celebrations in history is from the Bible. In the first book of the Old Testament, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, has a feast for all his servants on the day of his birth, Genesis 40:20. Research suggests that this pharaoh was celebrating the day of his divine coronation, in which he became a god. It was this religious birthday that was being celebrated. We do not know the actual date of Jesus' birth. Mid-September of year 3 BCE is but one possibility, but there is no consensus. There is a clear contrast, however, between the birthdays of Jesus and the pharaoh of Genesis 40. In the Gospel of Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, Magi, that is, wise men from the east, traveled to pay homage to the newborn Jesus. Chapter 2, 1-12. Jesus was born in a stable, and he was placed in a manger, Luke 2:7, which is a feeding trough for domesticated beasts. Shepherds came and found him, and then glorified and praised God. And so, Pharaoh may have given a feast for all his servants, who were to worship him as a god, while Jesus, born in a shed and placed in a feeding trough, would soon receive gifts from wise ones from distant lands. He would maintain the role of servant, and he would die for our salvation. Now that's a birthday to celebrate. Merry Christmas. Something to think about. A few hours before Jesus' arrest and later crucifixion and death, he shares his body and blood as the bread and wine of the so-called Last Supper with his disciples. See, for example, Matthew 26:17-30. On his first night, newborn Jesus was placed in a manger, a feeding trough for animals. What does this mean? Print and ebook editions of And So, Notes on the Bible and Religion are available on Amazon. More information on my work may be found at jasoncdikehouse.com.